To see the motion tracker in action, let's go up to the File pull-down menu and select Open Project. From your project files, select Chapter 5, then open up the project named Number 5, Motion Tracking AEP. This should open up a project with several compositions already created for you. The first one is called 01 Motion Tracking. Inside this composition, you'll see a single layer called New York City Library. It's a movie, and by scrubbing in the timeline, you can see that this movie is just the facade of the New York City Library with a simple panning camera action going across the front. What motion tracking will allow us to do is select a group of pixels and analyze that, then transfer the position of each one of those points that we track and use those for other properties inside of our After Effects composition. To start with, we'll need to open up the motion tracker in After Effects. There are several ways to get there. The first is by going up to the Window pull-down menu and select Tracker Controls. When you do this in After Effects CS3, After Effects will give you a new window. Now that window might be placed in a position that will crowd your new workspace. After Effects has another way to open up these tracker controls in a way to optimize your entire workspace of the application. From the Workspace pull-down menu, select Motion Tracking. By clicking on Motion Tracking, your entire workspace will be rearranged to the After Effects default Motion Tracking workspace. Now, it doesn't mean you're locked into this. We can still modify these by turning off some of these window panes. But most importantly, we can now see the information for our X and Y coordinates for our cursor and all of the tracker controls which will apply to this layer. The tracking data that I'll want to apply to the composition won't be applied to my comp window. What I want to do is actually track the pixels in my source layer. So I want to open up the layer by double-clicking in the timeline on the layer I want to track. Double-clicking here will open up the layer window and will allow me to implement my tracking controls. The first button is to track motion. By clicking simply on Track Motion, you'll see that you get an icon indicating 3 icons. The center is a plus icon, which indicates the attach point, and this will deliver simple XY coordinates. The next box around that is a feature set, which allows me to track a range of data. That range of data are all of the pixels inside that small box. Immediately outside of that is this larger box. This will allow me to track the set of pixels defined by the inside box against those defined by the outside box. Inside my tracker controls, I also have Stabilize Motion. Stabilize Motion will deliver a different set of data when I go back to interpret this once the tracking has been done. We won't use either one of these once I've selected Track Motion. Instead, we'll move down to our motion source. Here, our motion source is definitely our layer that we have selected, New York City Library Movie. We also have the ability to change trackers. Our current track is Tracker 1. Now, if we were to click on Track Motion or Stabilize Motion, that would deliver an additional track and deliver a different tracker. Inside each tracker, we can have multiple track points, as we'll see later. Currently, the track type that we're applying with Tracker 1 is a transformation. This transform track allows us to use all of the data, the XY coordinates set by the feature range, as a reference for position, rotation, or scale. By pulling down the menu for track type, we can see that there are several different track types that we can choose from. Stabilize and transform are the most popular, and those are the first 2 that we see. However, there is also parallel corner pin, which will allow us to track 3 different points, and After Effects will interpolate the 4th point in our corner pin. Perspective corner pin works similarly, but After Effects allows us to track all 4 points in our corner pin separately. The last type is raw, and raw will allow us to add as many points to our tracker as we want. Those different points are going to contain X and Y values, and we can use those, as we'll see, for any kind of XY values we need in After Effects. Currently, this first track is called Track Point 1. We can see it here as Tracker 1. If we go to Options, we can see that we can name this track type here, Tracker 1. If I name this here as Line 1, and say OK. We can see it update here in our timeline as Lion 1. By opening up Lion 1, we see that this includes track point 1, which we've already set down. With this track selected, we can introduce new points by going to the flyout menu in the upper right-hand corner of the window and selecting New Track Point. This will create a new track point at the center of our layer. We'll just hit Escape to get rid of that menu and move our track point down to our lion.